In today's video, we're going to talk about if it's a better idea to be a real estate agent or a real estate investor. Hey, what's up everyone? My name is John Lee and welcome to my channel. If you're brand new, definitely want to stay tuned. My sole goal for this channel is to help real estate agents and business owners scale their businesses to the next level using creative online strategies, investing strategies. So if that interests you at all, definitely be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. We can at you hot with content. Try to drop one every day, multiple content pieces a week, the most refined, the most up-to-date modern strategies that I use daily right now in real time. So today I just want to make a quick video because I feel like a lot of people that think about getting into real estate, they think about kind of three aspects. So you have the real estate agent aspect, which is more of the sales, buying, selling, and then you have kind of the real estate investor, which is kind of like sales, but you're looking mostly for like good deals for yourself. And then there's also like the development side of things where you're looking to build or you're looking to renovate. And then there's also the real estate investor side of things, which is like you're looking for tenants, you're looking for multifamily properties, you're looking for short-term Airbnb opportunities. So there's two main categories of real estate that I find people usually get into, which is the investing side and the agent side, and I'm in both of them. So I figured it would be best to kind of just make this video to kind of break it down. Again, my thoughts. I actually made a similar video. I'll link it up here regarding like investing, right? Because a lot of people are thinking, should I do long-term investing, find a good tenant, put them in there for 6 months to a year, and just kind of keep them rolling on a month-to-month basis after the fixed term contract, or should I go and do like short-term rentals with like Airbnb and stuff? So similar concept to that, break down the pros and cons for both of them so you guys can make the best informed decision. Now let's get right into this video, because the biggest part that I want to address is the licensing part, right? So a lot of people ask, John, like if I want to be a real estate investor or real estate agent and both, do I have to be licensed? And let's break it down in this video. So before we get into the licensing aspect, what's better, right? John, where can I make the most amount of money? What's a better opportunity? What's a better choice? So the best thing is that you don't pick one. I would recommend doing both simultaneously, and that's how I got started. So I apologize. My voice is kind of raspy. Just been feeling a little bit under the weather, but we're still holding strong, and I want to keep dropping content for you guys. So no days off. Just bear with me with my poor cracky voice as we kind of work through this video, but I'm getting better. So hopefully I'll be back to full volume and full voice in a few days. Now, I would recommend doing both simultaneously. You don't have to choose one, just do both. Be a full-time agent, and also on the side, once you get that rolling, I would buy properties, flip them on the side, or I would start buying pre-sale or investment properties and start renting it out on the side. So the reason why I recommend doing that is now you have the best of both worlds. Not only are you a licensed real estate agent, which in this case, getting licensed is really important for this game plan to work out. But you're learning on the job, right? You're learning how to negotiate your own deals. You're learning the ins and out of managing tenants, of renovating a property if you're looking to flip. Again, depending on your objective, your timeline, and your budget. If you're looking to buy an investment property, you know exactly what you're looking for in a property. And these are the assets that can transfer over to help with the real estate sales side of things with potential clients, right? And also, once you know the real estate investment side of things as well, now you're able to build assets that you can then leverage to acquire more real estate properties. And on the sales side, you leverage and gain more experience to attract more clients to work with you. So that's what I would do. And if I were to break down the pros and cons, the pros of a real estate agent, it's very low risk. You study for your license, just one exam, depending on where you're at. I also have another video up on this topic of how to get your license in less than 30 days. So you guys check it out. I recommend getting a crash course. Speeds up the whole process. They condense the material for you, give you a lot of practice questions for you to work through. So after you get your license, really there's the licensing fee, and then there's like a fee to like hang your license at a brokerage, and that's pretty much the cost of getting your license. And then you can essentially start selling houses. So there's not a lot of risk, meaning you don't need a lot of capital upfront to get invest to start with real estate sales. So that's a big pro. And this is something that you can get into relatively easily. There's a lower barrier to entry and a lower requirement and restrictions that are needed for you to be a licensed agent. So to start off, I recommend working with a team or a brokerage. I don't recommend going off on your own. There's too many things you got to juggle as a brand new agent, and I cycled through a few teams, learned the ropes that way, and when I felt comfortable, I kind of went off and did my own thing. But really recommend that. It just kind of helps speed up the learning curve, and you are able to retain information. You have a figure there to kind of support you and back you up if you need, and it just makes the whole experience a lot easier, because the goal is to just continue to push through the hard times, and once you get through that hard times, then things will start picking up. But I don't want you guys to quit or give up before you get to that point. So, it would just break my heart if you do. So definitely join a team. Make sure you write out the first half a year to a year. Again, if you join or are thinking about getting licensed in today's market, meaning like this year, Q1, Q2, 2022, I think you're set because the market's hot. When I joined in late 2018, yeah, the market was a different market back then. It was more, let's just say it didn't correct, but it was just more stable, which is a balanced market leaning towards a buyer's market, which makes it tough to do real estate deals. And there weren't a lot of transactions going through. So just depending on the market, that's a factor that you can't control, right? But all factors considered, definitely do that. And another pro that comes to mind when we think about real estate is the amount of capital intensive, the amount of capital that you need to get into the real estate space. So we definitely mentioned that. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else that I miss. Third benefit that I think about is, again, the low barrier to entry, which we already talked about too. What else? When it comes to a real estate agent, I think overall it's quite a straightforward process, and it's something that you can get right into out of high school. And you forgot something. So again, once you're legal, depending on the country and state there, and usually if you're over 18, you can be a licensed agent. At least that's how it works in Vancouver, BC, Canada. So again, you just have such a tremendous upside. And man, if I could go back to when I was 18 instead of going to college and finishing my degree in chemical engineering, I mean, if I just jumped into sales, I would have had 4 more years of real life experience that could then propel me further in life. But I have no regrets. I really do see a lot of pros in going to college, and just the lifelong friendships that you make. Just the whole experience itself is phenomenal and tremendously fulfilling. I guess just on that note too, I think it's just overall easier to start as a real estate agent, to learn about sales, to gain life experiences, compared to like a real estate investor. I think there's a lot more things that you have to think about when it comes to like becoming a real estate investor. Whereas like by being a real estate agent, you kind of have the ability to like play with other people's money, in the sense that you can have these like real life simulations by you actually working and representing buyers and sellers and investor clients on their journey of buying or selling properties. And hence you can kind of gain that real life experience of like what it's like to be a real estate investor, in my opinion, which I think is kind of cool. It's like playing with other people's money, right? But you gain that experience. So now you're an expert too. So I really think that's a great opportunity. And the key to is being a successful real estate agent is the ability to network, right? So by knowing so many different people in the industry, you have such a wide network of individuals in different businesses, in different lines of work, in different life stages. You learn so much life experiences. You have such fulfilling relationships and friendships with everyone, and just by having these connections, it makes it a lot easier to get stuff done, right? Especially when it comes to the investing side of things, because most people don't have an opportunity to network with other individuals outside their profession, outside their sphere, which is very tight knit and quite small. Especially with COVID, it's harder to get to know people. There's really no incentive or excuse, and people are kind of scared. Yeah, I think that's a really, really good thing to think about, the networking aspect, the community building, the connection building. Now, if we kind of flip the coin here and we talk about the pros of real estate investors, I think it's definitely more lucrative, right? You definitely make more money as a real estate investor. If you're flipping multi-million dollar homes, you're going to make a lot more money than if you're just selling a house and making commission, which is 1.5% to 5% of a seller of a property. Whereas if you flip a home, you earn all the lift, which is the substantial capital gains on that property, the price difference between what you bought at, what you sold at, which far outweighs the commission. And people are really making a lot of money with like flipping houses, hundreds of thousands of dollars, even millions. Make a link here to a video I'm about to drop soon, just a series of my whole home buying journey with my latest dream home that I purchased out in Stevenson. But that home that I bought for about 1.76 is now appraised at 2.1 million, right? And just shy of picked it up last year in October. It's just under 4 months. It has now appreciated 250 to 300,000, even more potentially. So again, people are making a lot of money. It's a proven method that is said and done. And another pro to real estate investing is, again, the long-term generational wealth, right? You buy it, you hold on to it, it's going to continue to appreciate with land. And you can also, if you have a rental suite in the property, or if you rent it out, you're collecting cash flow, which helps pay for your mortgage, which is tremendous. That's also an amazing thing to have. And not to mention, you can then leverage your assets to then borrow more money to buy more properties and kind of churn the process, right? There's a BRRRR strategy: buy, rent, buy, renovate, rent, refinance, repeat, right? That's how people keep on churning, keep on leveraging their assets that they have. Another way to kind of approach it on the investing side is by flipping, right? So if you flip properties, then you're constantly looking for a good deal. Maybe properties that are run down, properties that need a lot of work, sellers that are in a dire situation to sell for cash. So the beauty of flipping houses is you have the ability to then go and fix it up and flip it to someone else. And it's kind of like borrowing the property for a little bit and like putting on a little bit of makeup to make it nicer, and then selling it for a lot more money. And the turnover on that is a lot faster. So that's something that I recommend as well. But again, like if you're just flipping properties, then you won't have the ability to build long-term generational wealth until you acquire rental property itself, keep it cash flowing, and then you can leverage that asset to borrow more and buy more investment properties. So there's something to consider. But I think if you were to start off with real estate investing, I would definitely recommend like flipping properties first, before buying an investment property, holding on to it, because you need to build a cash flow, right, in the short term, to have enough for a down payment to then leverage that and own investment properties long term. Another pro is that you're the boss, right? You're in complete control of whether you buy the property or not. You have full autonomy over what numbers you look for and what type of deals you decide to pick up, who's involved with the whole process. You get to control what you buy, what you flip, what you keep, and you can adjust the costs accordingly as things come and go. So, you have more freedom, more flexibility. If you're a realtor, your clients are in control of how much money you make, right? Your clients are in control if they decide to back out a deal over $500. You're in control. Your clients are in control if they decide that they're going to stop looking in this crazy market because they can't afford the reality of the type of property that they can afford to get based off their financial qualifications, and they'd rather wait for a market correction so they can hopefully, with the same budget, afford their dream home, right? So again, it's just you got to deal with people's expectations, and at the end of the day, they get to call the shots, and you don't, and you are being bossed around by instead of one boss, you have like how X amount of bosses depending on how many clients you're working with at a time. Could be 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 50 clients at once, depending again on the scale of your business. Another pro that I see with real estate investing is there's so many ways that you can exit it. Again, you can buy rental property, hold on to it, and find a long-term tenant. You could do short-term rentals. You can buy it to renovate and flip it. You can even potentially redevelopment the property, demolish it, rebuild on it, or you can demolish it and rezone it and build a different type of property on the lot, the piece of land that it sits on. So you get to make that decision as to where the money goes and what strategy you want to take on when it comes to investing in real estate, because you get to decide ultimately what the deal is. And the last pro that I see is tax advantages. So owning real estate property has many tax advantages. Now, if we want to quickly go over the cons, again, another con of a realtor is dealing with clients, because everyone is different. Everyone has a different taste, opinion, different needs, different wants. So it's really hard to kind of juggle that, especially if there's multiple parties that are affecting the final decision. That's also a big problem that could arise in the family. There's no passive income of what sort or long-term wealth assets that you're building. Being a realtor is not an asset. It's commission-based job. You don't even get salary unless you use that income as a realtor to buy assets. If you don't do that, you'll always be working, and a lot of agents actually do end up being stuck on that trajectory of working till their 60s, 70s. The third thing is a realtor is like you never know where the industry is heading. You always have technology companies that try to come and disrupt the industry, such as Zillow. Even on the brokerage side now, the EXP is taking over quite a bit, Redfin as well. So just you don't never know where technology is heading, especially with the metaverse coming up and NFTs and blockchain and all that good stuff. So that's another thing. And also, buyers really want to see the property before they buy it, meaning they physically want to see it, and you only have limited amount of time. So there's only so much clients that you can take on at once. On the other hand, some of the cons as a real estate investor is there's inherently risk. So there's huge risk when it comes to flipping properties, or having rental properties, right? Because the tenants could default on you, they could wreck the place. When it comes to selling investment properties, the market might not be favorable to you, so you might have to sell your properties at a loss if you have to recoup the costs, or you need the cash for something else. There's also the problem where even getting enough money for the down payment to invest initially is a problem, because it requires very, very high capital, especially depending on the city that you're in. But in Vancouver, it's quite capital intensive, and it's actually harder to find investment deals, believe it or not, than comparing if you were to find deals for clients, because there's a lot more things that you look after. Because ideally for investment, it has to be a discounted deal for it to make sense. And the fourth problem that I could see arise is that the rehab process could take longer, could be more costly, especially with the cost of goods essentially doubling over the past 3 years or so, and labor going up. There's less workers available. Just all these issues with supply chain, products, and labor could really skew your rehab costs through the roof, and that's something that you have to account for when you're looking to invest in a property. So after all that is said and done, what is the best choice? Well, I think both are great options. If I were kind of in this similar timeline, or kind of at crossroads wanting to get into real estate, don't know where to start, I truly recommend starting with both, right? That way you can start with getting licensed as a real estate agent, get a taste, a feel of what it's like, dip your toes, get it a little bit wet, get a feel what it's like being in real estate and helping other people buy and sell or invest in properties and achieve their real estate goals. And through that, you can learn kind of the ins and out of the whole process, build a relationship, build networks, and then build connections with brokers, with renovators, with lawyers and inspectors, and kind of piece everything together to a point where you start saving up, right? You store away part of that income every month, paycheck towards your asset, towards buying that first rental property. And once everything, all the pieces are aligned, you invest in your first property. After a little while of working as an agent, probably half a year to a year's time, I think you'd be ready, probably accumulate some capital, and then get into the real estate investing side, because that's the only way that you can build long-term financial wealth and achieve financial freedom. So do both at the same time. I think it's important, but start as an agent, because you might not even like real estate as much, or you might find it not to be as lucrative as people make it seem, especially on the investment side. Plus, once you have more knowledge of the industry and the space, you feel more comfortable making those decisions, because again, it's a lot of risk that you're taking on by being a real estate investor. So if you're starting out, again, I recommend that you start being a real estate agent. You don't need a lot of money to start out. You don't need a lot of time invested, and it's an easy way for you to get your feet wet in the real estate space. Start making networks, start building connections. Once you're ready, then take that over to the investing side, right? And then from there, scale to the moon. That's what I did. That's exactly the steps I followed myself. Now I own a few rental properties under my belt, and a few properties that I live in as well. So yeah, that's what I would probably say to you. If you guys like this video at all, please give it a thumbs up. It definitely helps with the algorithm, helps me push out this content to more people so they can learn and gain value from it. Again, guys, my name is John Lee. Thank you so much for tuning in. I have nothing to sell you guys. My goal for this channel is to help real estate agents and business owners scale their business to the next level using creative online strategies. So if that interests you at all, please be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell, and comment down below if you have any further questions. I'll get back to each and every one of you. Once again, thanks again for tuning in. I apologize for my raspy voice, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.